I could see wild sheep, or mountains, or caves, but only if I can make it through these travel guides and choose a park to visit. When I was in middle school, I really wanted to visit a national park. But when I tried to research which one to visit, it was like I couldn't remember anything I read. But now I know the solution: active reading, which keeps our minds focused as we read. Last time, we talked about strategies for active reading. This time, we'll apply those strategies. We'll also try some tricks to improve our annotations and consider how to write useful summaries. Think you can help me choose a national park to visit? Let's find out. Okay, let's practice a little active recall. Can you remember the 4 active reading strategies we learned about last time? Well, let's see. I'm going to read a passage about Badlands National Park and apply the 4 active reading strategies. As you follow along, see if you can notice when I use each one. Badlands National Park looks intimidating and dramatic, with its jagged rock formations, deep canyons, and towering spires. Oh, so is it hard to get around there? But despite its harsh appearance, the park is full of life. Bighorn sheep and prairie dogs roam the grasslands, while golden eagles soar overhead. Oh, golden eagles! I learned about them in a documentary on Mongolia. If you're up for exploring on foot, try the Notch Trail. Okay, I should keep that in mind. But be ready for a little adventure. This hike includes a steep ladder climb and ends with a breathtaking view of the White River Valley. That answers my question about getting around. Steep ladder climb. I wonder what that looks like. Prefer something easier? The Fossil Exhibit Trail is a short, flat walk where you can see replicas of ancient animals that once lived here millions of years ago. Oh, that reminds me a bit of a museum, and I do like the museum. Okay, so to summarize, Badlands National Park has a rugged landscape, interesting wildlife, and fossils, along with options for harder or easier hikes. You probably noticed that while I was reading, I kept my mind active by annotating, or writing notes and underlining on the text. I asked questions, made connections, and summarized the key points. Ready to try it out? In your guided notes is the next paragraph of this passage. Read it and apply all 4 active reading strategies like I just did. Nice work! For me, active reading helps me focus on the text and remember key details. In particular, summarizing is really useful for understanding and remembering what we read. By stopping every few sections or chapters to jot down quick notes about the main details, we can check our understanding. And later, we can easily review by skimming through our summaries. But summarizing effectively is not always easy. For example, check out this summary I wrote based on the passage you just read and annotated. What makes it not so useful? It's really long, for one thing. A summary should be quicker to read than the original text. And it's so long because I've copied a lot of phrases exactly from the text. Just copying the passage doesn't help me check my understanding. Now, I don't want to make it too brief. Just writing "nice stars" doesn't cover the main points of that passage. So when we summarize, we think, Does this capture the key details in fewer words? Is it in my own words? And will it help me remember key details later? Following these guidelines means our summaries may be written in sentence fragments and a casual style. And that's great. We are not writing an academic response, we are taking notes. So, I could revise this first bullet point by shortening it and writing it in my own words. Hot summers, above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Try it out for yourself in your guided notes. Pause to finish revising the original summary by simplifying and rewording the main points. Streamlining our summaries helps us capture our ideas more effectively, and we can actually apply that same mindset to improving our annotations too. Consider our goals when we annotate. We want to capture our ideas pretty quickly, so we don't have to slow down our reading too much. But we also want to make sure we can understand our notes when we come back to review later. One way to achieve those goals is using symbols. For example, I might use a symbol for each active reading strategy, like a question mark for something I want to look up or consider later, a pair of linked circles to show a connection, or a check mark for summaries. Then, instead of writing, "reminds me of the museum," I could just use my connection symbol. That's much faster. Of course, you could use different symbols or come up with additional symbols for thoughts you often have while reading. You might use a heart to show ideas you loved, or a star to mark important details. We can also use underlining and highlighting to track specific thoughts. I might use a zigzag underline to mark words I want to look up, and a straight line under interesting details. Or, if I'm using highlighters, I can color code. These approaches can make annotating quicker, but remember our second goal? We also need to understand our annotations when we read them again later, so it's smart to use words and phrases alongside symbols to capture your thoughts. It's also good to make a quick key where you write down what each symbol or color means in your annotations. Let's try it out. Use your guided notes to create your own key by choosing symbols, styles of underlining, or colors you'll use to mark each idea. Then, read the passage and annotate it using your chosen symbols, colors, and words. Try to make at least 4 annotations. As you practice active reading and annotation, you'll keep developing symbols and styles that best suit your needs. You can use these skills in all kinds of ways: enjoying a novel, studying for school, or watching videos. Me? I'm going to use them to choose a national park to visit, or 2, or 3. Remember, as we travel back, we learn forward. Every past lesson builds a brighter future. See you next time!